Squirrel Sports. So hello to episode 2 of the Brothers Battle for the Super Bowl. My name's Chris, and today we will be going through the first draft of this challenge. I'm playing as the Raiders. Nick is the Cardinals in our quest for the Super Bowl. So, what we're going to do today is take you through our draft boards, go through the draft itself, and then get into the preseason and, start the preseason, start off what we need to do there. And then that should see us to the start of the regular season, which we will begin in episode 3. So, I'm going to take you through my draft board now. Nick's then going to take you through his. And the way I've structured mine is essentially that I have put it in order of like a literal draft board. We've ranked them by round first, and then who would we take in that round. So obviously there could be people further down in the rounds where they're projected, but we would rather take. So and I'll take you through some of them as well. But starting off, obviously QB is a massive need for us, and we begin with Jeremy McDowell. I'm sure Nick might have some similar people on his board as well, but obviously he is projected to go first, which might be a little early for us, but he is an early first round QB with lots of talent. I will take you through our picks. So we've got 3 first rounders, 11, 19 and 28, as well as a second and 2 thirds, a fourth, 2 fifths and a 7th. So we've got quite a few picks, and this will be an important draft for us to try and make it a good team, and should be hopefully where the success of our team is located. Now I will just go over some draft rules that me and Nick try and stick to, and that is oftentimes in the later rounds, say the 5th, 6th, 7th, you will get offered trades for like a 4th next year to trade away your 5th. We tend not to do that because it's not that realistic that a team would trade like that, and obviously you can just continually do that and get better picks for yourself until you're never ever picking in the 5th, 6th and 7th, and you're only ever picking in like the top 100, which I don't think is very fair to the AI, really, that you're essentially doing that. Obviously we can't know who the AI are going to take, and they will still take bad players, so we can't do anything about that, but we do try and keep it as realistic as we can. With that said, also one thing that we also do is, you may have noticed that in the game there are no X Factor linemen, and we are playing with abilities on this mode, and so there are no X Factor linemen, and there's very rarely any superstar linemen. So what we do is we take the random wheel generator, we take all the names of the players picked in the first round for offensive linemen, and we make one of them X Factor and one of them a superstar. Now there are no X Factor abilities for offensive linemen, but they will obviously gather the extra XP from being an X Factor and essentially become an elite player very quickly. And we do that because often when we first did this and didn't do that, there were obviously quite a few defensive linemen who were X Factor and a lot that were superstar, and they would get into the mid to high 90s, and all of our offensive linemen would max out at about 85, and so even against the best offensive lineman, the best D lineman would always win against them, which we didn't think was quite so fair if you wanted to build the team around an offensive line, for instance. So we will be doing that as well, and we'll let you know which players received the boosts. Don't worry about that. So getting back into my draft board, we've got McDowell at the top of the draft board. He, as I say, will probably be out of reach, but is a pretty high need, and there aren't too many good QBs. I will show you another one that is a bit further down who we will be targeting quite heavily. As I said, we are a passing offense. That's what we want to be, and again, Denton might be there at pick 11. I think he's projected 6th, so it's unlikely he'll be there. Maybe he might fall, and maybe we'll trade up for him because that is a need. Donaldson here is a guard. Guard isn't our biggest need, but he's an early first rounder as well. Again, high up there. I wouldn't be too bothered if he didn't fall to us, but if he does, we will probably be taking him at 11. PJ Neighbors is another early first round talent. Again, if he falls, I'm happy to take him. Leo Cousins, it's more of a run blocker, but he is a mid first round projection with early first round talent, so I wouldn't mind taking him as well. Also, obviously, because we are changing the the dynamics. Picking offensive lineman in the first round, can be more beneficial than waiting later, because Madden tends to have a lot of hidden offensive line gems, some of which we will see as well in this video. Here's Malik Beret. Again, a solid player, mid-first round talent, with good coverage skills. Catching is a bit of an odd second best talent. We'll see what he would be as a receiver, maybe, with that kind of catching. Same here, Bannister is a late first round projection, but is a mid first round talent, so it would be a good pickup. And then Ty Holiday is a late first round with late talent, good route runner. Obviously not seeing his catching is maybe a bit worrying, but we'll see. And now we get into our second round. Zellner and Barlow, both sort of are about the same player. Barlow is a bit of a late first as opposed to mid first, but I reckon they're around the same type of player. Same with Duncan Sherman, a center. You'll see I've sort of ordered them by what we want as a team. So free safety, we're kind of okay for free safeties and safeties in general. And D tackle again, we're fine as well. So I've kind of put these guys a bit lower, even though they're pretty good talents. Dedrick Murdoch, a linebacker. Eddie McCarthy, an interesting one, didn't go to the combine, but is an early first round talent with B pluses around the in pass block and pass block power. Probably someone we'll be looking at pretty heavily. Oh, and by the way, me and Nick have a rule that obviously if we see each other's board, you can only draft a player if you have scouted them fully and know, or like for good talents at least, if you know about if they're good or not. So say Nick was looking at this screen right now and saw Eddie McCartney, good player, but he hadn't scouted him, he's not allowed to take him. Connor Northern, speaking of QB, is a mid-first round talent in the early third. We'll probably be looking, we might even pick him 28, I'll be honest. I don't really want to take the risk of letting him fall to 16, and he could be our future quarterback. So I might have to take him. What did he run? He ran a 4.45. My God. He ran a 4.45, so we could do some interesting things with him and create something around him, I think. Larry Gaston. Another guard. There's plenty of good O-linemen. Braylon Berry is a good receiving back, which you don't see too many of, to be honest, in drafts. And then we got a couple other players here. Another one that we really might go after is Leo Borum. Good catching, late first round talent, projected late fourth. He looks like someone we could really go after. Rashawn Richard here is a safety with late first talent. As a safety, not a big need, but a good backup safety could be good to pick up somewhere later down the line. Then there's a couple talents here, but I want to get into Arsenio Linda, who's an early first round talent, and he's a tight end, a blocking tight end with early first round talent. He's got C+ catching though as well, which I think is kind of average for a tight end, but if he's an early first round talent, I'm really interested in picking him up a bit later. And then I think something that a lot of people don't do, but you really should, is look at the undrafted talents for your late round picks instead of the talents that are listed, because often the good undrafted talents with good combines will often surprise you with how good they are. And there's two tackles here who are first round talents that I found that have undrafted grades on them, as well as some safeties and middle linebackers who are draftable talents at least. And so often I will say, if you see someone who's above 6, give them a scout in the undrafted, or if you see someone with high 5s in positions like linebacker or tackle, give them a look. They could be good. They also could be bad. Don't get me wrong. And so that is my board, and that is what I will be going for. We're probably gonna want to take the QB. I think Northern is probably the most important one, the third round QB. So that's who I'll be targeting most of all. Other than that, we'll see probably who falls to us, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so as I was looking at the team needs, I thought one center, 2 tackles. Maybe there's no other needs on offense there. I would ideally get a running back. I think there are 2 defensive tackles that could be taken, maybe a cornerback, maybe a linebacker, and ideally another edge rusher to add to this mix. I'm not sure cornerback is really a need, because Patrick Peterson does have a few good years left in him, And he does have 91 man, which is perfect, really. But as we move on to the draft board, there are some good talents here early. We do have the 9th pick, which isn't what the Cardinals actually have, but it's the only way it could work out with the tie with the Lions. So the Lions, I think, end up getting the 1st pick, which, yeah, they got the better end of that. So as I look at this, the players that will be there at 9, I doubt any of these will fall, but I scouted them just in case. Or maybe it's in case I wanted to trade up, but Peters would probably be the perfect player to get, but he won't be there. Other than that, in the top 10, I expect these players to go. They might, or maybe Chris ends up taking Jeremy McDowell, I don't know. But I imagine the AI teams won't take the QBs early because they don't tend to, but these receivers that are overrated and Blackwell could go early. I imagine Cousins will go in the top 10 because he's probably clearly the best tackle in the class. There is this man with a glorious name, Quantavius Bingham, which is, I think that's reason enough to take him on its own, but we'll see how the talent holds out. I think the ideal 2nd round pick there, so I might hold off on a pass rusher in the 1st and take him in the 2nd. Moving on to defensive tackle, who, well, it's a position where there may be multiple picks in this draft. Might start early. There are some good talents in here. There's a 2nd round projected. There's a mid-1st round talent in Carter Lowry, one of them. Cedric Cole, who's projected in the late 3rd, could be a good option. Here at right end, I've already talked about Peters. Here's Tony Tiller. Good name again. And he's more of a edge rusher that I'd be looking for. Could be good if we trade down in the 1st, but I'm not sure we'll have the pick to take him. Now Watson here, I didn't get the full scout on, but his combine would suggest that his talent is probably the same as his projection, and I'd be willing to take a gamble on someone who runs 4.66 at 255. Potentially the cream of the crop here is Angel Laws, who's an early 3rd round projection. That makes me think that he is the person to target with our 2nd round pick to make sure we do not miss out on him. On to the O-line, where I would ideally take 2 tackles and a center because it's just that much of a need for us. Leo Cousins probably won't be there when we pick. He would be great to have, but I'm not sure that he'll be there. He would ideally probably be my pick at number 9. If we fail to get him though, here's Sean Di Carvalho, which is, I don't know where they generate these names from, but it's a good name and a good talent as well in terms of the combine. He isn't the best in terms of a starter, but he might be about 67 overall, which could be a starter in our system because the team just isn't built very well. Now, there are 3 down here that are undrafted, and I've not seen the talent, but I'd be willing to take a gamble on them just because of their combine. And I think Hicks here showed the best quality in terms of what I could see from these 3. And I, of course, scouted a 2nd one. Now here at guard, where I'm not sure I would take a player considering there are just other needs on our board, even though it would still be ideal to fill all these positions, but I'm not sure there's going to be enough picks for us. Here at centre though, I would consider Glenn Dunn here in the 2nd. He had a really good combine, judging off that, and he's got late 2nd talent, which would probably be good enough to start, and then maybe in a few years he'd be a better caliber. But Duncan Sherman is the better option, it seems, and he had the better combine from what I can tell. Again, there are some guards here. There's Eddie McCartney, who did not partake in the combine, which isn't ideal, but he's an early 1st talent, which makes me think that I don't really care if he went to the combine. There's also Larry Gaston, who did go to the combine but isn't as good of a talent. which makes me think that Eddie is the way to go there if I do pick a guard in the 3rd round. And here at left tackle, there's not too many options. Looking at the top talent, Quinn Hearns is the only one with better than a B+ as his top one and after the 3rd round. But Edward Fuller here in the 3rd would be a decent option for us there. Tight end would ideally be added in this draft. Roman Session looks like a decent option. Now, I didn't scout McKinley, but he had a great combine, which makes me think he'd be a really good option for us, just to take a gamble on if we didn't have anyone else. And I think his talent will probably show through there. And the same goes for Billy Cool, Terrell Marriott, and Arsenio Linda. Surely no one's called this. Sorry if you are, but that's a damn good name. I'm not sure I'll be targeting a receiver in this draft because I think our receiver group is already saturated enough. And here at running back, I had looked at Dennis Robertson, who had a really good combine. He's a power back who ran a 4.44, which is interesting to me. Well, here looking at the draft board, these are the ideal players that would fall to us. Tyrone Bannister is not really a target there, but it's nice to have options. When it comes to our pick, there's potential for Tony Tiller, who has good pass rush move and a decent combine there. Angel Laws will be an option with McCartney, but then Bingham might have to be the 2nd round pick if we don't go for a pass rusher in the 1st, because there just aren't that many options. And then hopefully we can still land one of these 2 players here to make sure that we get the talent that we want from this draft. Later on, there's a lot of options here for some decent talent, but as it gets towards the later rounds, there might have to be a few, let's call them Hail Marys, that I take and hope that players are actually good. We'll probably end up taking one of these tackles because they are the need, and they had good combines between them. And I'll figure out at the time which one I want to take.
So now we will enter the NFL Draft 2020. I hope you're excited. The Bengals are on the clock, and I'm going to pause it straight away because looking at the draft board, we see Jeremy McDowell here. Now, he's an early 1st round talent, and I am going to try to trade up for Jeremy McDowell, who I think is a once-in-a-generation type talent, the Peyton Manning of this class. And therefore, we are going to do, we're going to see exactly what the Bengals, it would take for them to get this pick. 3 1st round picks. Nowhere near. I can't do better than that. Bengals, pick away. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go through the 1st round, pick by pick, look at who people take, not in any great depth, but just to see, and then we'll go through the other rounds, just focusing on what we're doing. So, Bengals, who's it gonna be? There he goes. There he goes. And with it go my hopes and dreams. This Raiders team now, we're gonna need something. We're gonna need something. But Fitzmagic, here we come. No, so Lions next. There's no reason to trade up now, I don't think. And they go guard Brian Donaldson with pick number 2. Good pick. The Redskins go with PJ Neighbors, a middle linebacker. As a Redskins fan, Nick, thoughts on PJ Neighbors?
I like it.
He likes it. Leonard Peters, right end for the Giants. Good pick. Bit of a worse pick there. The Panthers. The Dolphins take Leo Cousins, 79. So probably one of the better players in the draft. Nick?
Just saying don't skip a pick.
Pick number 7. The Chargers are on the clock. And they take Javonte Denton. You didn't want to trade up? Pick number 8, the Browns. One pick before Nick picks. Here we go. Ibrahim Moore. A terrible pick from the Browns. Classic Browns. So Nick, I'll hand over to you. Explain your choice.
Okay, so looking at this draft board here, I don't see any reason to stay at this pick. If we can trade down, that would be ideal, because there's nothing here that's really great. Although I don't expect these trade offers to be, yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing I'm picking here. And so the way this pick is probably going to shape out is, I think, if I go by the talent here, one of the better picks might be the projected later guys, but I think I might be able to get them later on. If you go by talent, Tyrone Bannister might be the best choice in terms of a first round projected. Ideally, I would trade down and still be able to take him, but I'm not sure if corner's the way I want to go, which makes me think Tony Tiller. I know he's a late first round guy, but his combine is very good. It's a position of need, but I'm not sure I can take that talent. When Angel Laws is sitting there, and he's just so good, I think I have to go with him. I'm forgetting where he's projected. It doesn't matter. He is the pick. And he's normal development, which isn't ideal, but he's already a decent player who can already contribute. I'd say that's a decent pick. He's got a swim move, which I'll keep in mind when I'm upgrading him. He is more of a power rusher and a run stopper, but I think that's a good pick.
Okay, so after Nick takes the second biggest draft bust after the Browns, we shall move on to where the real men pick. Pick number 10. With the Jacksonville Jaguars, they select Josh Waters. So let's take a look at my trade offers. Oh, how fun. That's a no from me, which means we are making our selection here. We will take a look at what's available. A lot of the top guys have gone. We've got Malik Beret here, who is a mid-first round talent, as well as Ty Holiday. Unfortunately, is a late round talent. We also have Tyrone Bannister, Tony Tiller, whom I heard Nick talk about, LaMarcus Westbrooks. And aside from that, we're looking at second round talent, so there doesn't seem to be too much here. This isn't a great spot to pick, it seems. As you can see, all the people at the top kind of busts. We could go crazy and go for Sledger. So we're going to take a look at the board. Nick, if you could just avert thine eyes. We know that receiver is very important for us. There are quite a few decent receivers. Just looking further down the list to see what positions there are. You see that corner doesn't seem quite as deep as the others according to my board. We do still have a couple of receivers on here who are all, you know, I think about the same. I think I'd prefer to go and get Zellner over Holiday, and so I think this pick, we do pick an 8 picks time. So I think it is potentially between the corners here, Beret and Bannister. Both mid-round picks. We want to have zone. I can see your zone to be minus. I can't see your zone. Your speed is quite slow, actually. And yours is okay. But I think I'm going to go Malik Beret. Possibly because he fits our scheme better. So with that, the pick is Malik Beret, who is a 73 normal dev.
I got him bust. I got some talent.
Well, there's not much talent there, Nick. So we will continue on this journey, and let's see who the Jets pick up. They go Jermichael Blackwell. I'm expecting that in these next couple picks we'll see a lot of those busts come off the board. There's Philip Chamberlain, So it's going so far so good. They do pick up Ty Holiday, who was probably going to be our next pick. So now there's no reason to trade up whatsoever. We will just sit where we are. Sit pretty as Bannister comes off the board. He better not be hidden dev. We'll check that afterwards, especially going to the Broncos. Andrew Edmonds, a bad pick. Travis Douglas, another bad pick. And finally, Tony Tiller comes off the board. So again, we'll look at our options here. And these are our draft pick options. We've got some second round picks. These aren't actually the worst trades in the world. What's 58? 26? That is quite late. No, I think we're going to pick here. I like where we are. And so the pick will be. We could double down on corner with Westbrooks here. But I don't think that's where we are. I think we're going to add in a wide receiver, and out of the ones that I have scouted here, I think it's got to be... See, you're a late second round talent though. I'm already changing my mind. I could go Carter Lowry. I've got a D tackle. You know what? We're going to go with where the talent takes us. And that, my friend, is Willis Zellner. I know he's a late second round projection, so it seems like we could get him further down the board, but there's also other people who are further down the board that I also want to get and make sure that I get. So we are going to go Willis Zellner. Talent doesn't lie. Talent does lie. This is a truly woeful draft. We would have been much better trying to trade up everything for the QB, which we tried, but failed. So that's Zellner. I mean, what's letting him down? His catching traffic isn't great. His deep route and release. But mainly the issues are the normal devs that we've seen. He's also 24. This is probably not the best pick in the world. With that said, we'll move on. Rams. Take Jamal Bynes. Keenan York. Right guard goes. Lincoln Steckler to the Bills. Bart Rutherford. I mean, look at the overalls of these players. They aren't that good. There goes Westbrooks. He's only 70 overall. Garrett Kruger is just 65. Eddie Brooks, 64. And here we are on the clock again. Once more, we'll check the trades. I doubt there's anything too good in here. The Vikings give us pick 25. Or pick 27 in the second. Or pick, what's that, 24? And a fourth and a fifth. A fourth. Again, I'm not too excited, but I'll consider it. I'll consider it, but I don't think we're going to, because there's someone very important who we need to add right now. And his name is not Eddie McCartney. It's Connor Northern. I think. Look at his speed, 4.45 speed, basically Lamar, who didn't do a 40, but here we go.
Lamar would have run a whole second quicker than that, Chris.
A throw power, A throw accuracy short, A minus throw accuracy mid, a mid first round talent. Connor Northern, 21 years old from Alabama. Come be our QB. Normal death. Were all of them 72? 73, 72 normal dev? It has not been the greatest first round.
I would have taken McCartney, Chris.
You would have taken McCartney. That's fine. You can take McCartney if you want McCartney. Northern, our QB. This has been a truly tremendously bad draft so far. He could be Rookie of the Year. We'll close out the first round with Manny Barlow. There goes Carter Lowry. The 49ers take a Mundy. And finally, the Chiefs take Steve Cameron. And thus ends the first round.
So here we are in the second round, and some decent players have come off the board, but I don't think that really matters for my pick, because I knew the whole time that if Chris wasn't taking Eddie McCartney in the first, that I'd get him in the second. And here we are. He's early first talent. That doesn't mean much in this draft, I guess. Let's hope that his combine was good. Well, his non-combinable ratings. He's only 21, which is good. I think this is the right pick right here. And he is hidden, which is perfect. Those run blockings are worrying though. He's got 87 strength, which is... It's fine. It's fine. I've had much worse. 74 is early first talent, which says plenty about this draft. And yeah, we'll keep it going on.
So round 2, pick 16. Looking at my board, there is someone who is quite clearly probably the best player we are going to get, and that is Duncan Sherman. He's kind of fallen to us here. He's a late first round talent who has good strength and pretty good speed. He's got more of a run blocker, which isn't great for us, as we will be a passing team, but he's only 22, and I think he, as a late first round talent, he's probably only going to be about 70 overall. So it's still not great, but I think the pick is going to be Sherman. He is the top of our board. There isn't too much that I'm too worried about. We might come back in the third for Borum, but Duncan Sherman will be the pick, and he is hidden as well. Well, that makes up for something. So yeah, Duncan Sherman. Yeah, his pass block isn't the best. His run block finesse is pretty bad as well. Some decent run blocking potential. And we'll see where that gets us.
So here we are back with Mr. Manager and his Cardinals. I would really like to trade up for Quantavious Bingham, because if I don't, I feel like we'd be missing out on someone that could actually contribute to the team. So here we gave up quite a bit just for this one guy. Obviously, it's not great to give up on next year's third, but I think this guy could really be quite good, and if he contributes early, who knows. So now the pick is in, and it is Quantavious Bingham. So here's Bingham. He's a 70 speed rusher. It's a good pick in this draft, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea to give up that third. And there are a few holes to fill, but I'm willing to give it up because he could be a contributor. He's got the 77 finesse, but there's quite a bit to work on there.
So here we are with our third round pick. I mean, I will just check the trades just in case, but normally they don't offer anything too good. Although we could get a third and a seventh here from the Vikings. A third and a fifth from the Seahawks. Yeah, quite a few teams offering their thirds. You don't normally see that. Let's think about it. What's the Vikings pick here? 89. That is... We are currently on pick, what, 75? So that's another 14 picks away from here. So that's 14 picks down to gain a seventh. Is it really worth it? Could get the Broncos third and sixth next year. I don't think any of the trades are really worth it ultimately. And so instead, I'm looking at Leo Borum and I'm thinking, that's a nice pick. We also pick in 8 picks time. So we should have plenty of picks available to us. Could also go Braylon Berry here. Is he a better pick? The difference between late first and early second I doubt will be too much. And we've already picked a receiver. So I think I'm convincing myself we're going to go Braylon Berry instead. I was kind of hoping maybe he'd be sneaky, get that extra dev in. He is quite quick. He can catch, which is good. He's got decent short route as well. What's letting him down? Where's his carrying? His carrying 77, not great. But with the speed, the catching, the short route, I think there's something here. 77 catching traffic, that's better than some receivers. We could even move him to receiver potentially. But yeah, overall I think a pretty decent pick there. So we get to our second, third round pick, and we take a look at what people are offering. Now the trades seemingly come down a lot, so I'm not interested in any of them. And I think he's still there. Leo Borum, he is still there. Top of our board. We've got Rayshawn Richard here as well, who could be good. Who might be worth a pick. He's got good zone. So it's between Borum and Richard. And I think maybe Richard is a better pick here. Safety. A backup safety is a need for us, most definitely. It's Richard. Rayshawn Richard. Yeah, and so I think we will be going for Richard with this pick. It does mean passing up on Leo Borum. He does have 4.42 speed, a good 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle, and can catch. If he's hidden, I'm going to hate it. But I'm going to go for Richard to be our backup safety, 71, very good, particularly in this draft, of course. And I'm quite happy with that pick, because I'm sure Nick might have picked him up. Don't know if Nick's scouted him, but I'm pretty sure that's someone he would have been interested in. And a trade has been made. We trade away our 4th and 2nd of our 2 5th-round picks for this pick here, number 97. So that we can go up and get Leo Borum. So in the end, we got them all. He better not have gone. I probably should have checked that before, but I didn't see his name as we were going through. So we will be picking up Leo Borum as well. And rounding off what I think has been a pretty good few rounds for us here.
Now here we are in the 5th round, and from what I can tell by the way other teams are drafting, this is a terrible draft, because so many 50 overalls have gone off the board. And I've never seen anything like that in the 5th round of a draft. Here, the only player we have who might be worth it is Jerry Styles. I'm not sure if that's any relation of Harry. I think that's spelt different. But Jerry looks like our best option there. Obviously, we do have another 5th, but there aren't any good trade offers there. Jerry might have to be the pick. Unless I do go off Combine, which is more of a Raiders thing to do, especially this current regime. Billy Cool interests me, mainly because of his name. Good Combine though. I have no idea what he's good at though. I'm not sure if this draft even matters. He might be a 50 overall with a 5th round talent. Who knows? But here, I think Billy Cool will be the pick. Okay, maybe that was a mistake. Yeah, his catching is not good. It's my fault, really. But I'm not sure if there are many players that are actually any better than him. Billy Cool. It's me again.
What, to pick another bust?
Yep. And now 3 picks later, let's see if we can amend that pick. I might go with someone that I know the talent of, which means I might just have to go with Jerry Styles. And I think that's the pick. So Jerry's about what we expected. 61 overall is a late 5th, which is really bad. Like, very bad. So that's this draft.
Jerry Styles. So after Nick just completely picked on name alone, Jerry Styles, what was the other one? Billy Cool. We're gonna show him. We're gonna show him how to draft properly, and that is with a different tight end. Arsenio Linda, tight end, blocking tight end, who is 74. I was really hoping he'd have hidden dev. That would have been quite cool. But still, a decent player. Can't run to save his life. Is slower than a lot of offensive linemen. But can block decently. What is catching? Well, 69. There it is. Second one. 69 catching. It's not great. It's not. It's better than Billy Cool. And overall, a decent player to be a backup tight end. To get in the 5th, I think that's quite a good pick. So yeah, on to the next pick.
So here with the final pick of the draft, I'll look at the board and there's not a lot here to get excited about. Not that there was in this draft anyway. DeMarcus Lowell might be the best talent we have here. I think that's the pick. It says we reached, doesn't even explain it, but there's nothing really great there. I don't know how it's a reach in this draft with a 62, but yeah.
So the 2 tackles go, unfortunately. And that means that we are left with Travion Redmond, I think, as our pick. I think when it said you reach, Nick, I think that just meant your whole draft was just terrible. And so we'll check Travion Redmond, which is a good pick. He's hidden as well. And this means that our draft was far superior to Nick's, clearly. As we'll close out the draft now. And yeah, that's going to do it for this draft. Neither of us have any picks remaining. And we'll take a look at both of our drafts and talk you through what were our good picks, what were our bad picks, before we adjust the roster. One thing that we will be doing as well is changing these players' names. It's something that we like to do and give them sort of silly names. So the likes of these players won't be called this when you see them next. They will have funky names. But first of all, let's talk through our drafts. We started with Malik Bray. We had a very underwhelming first round, I would say, here with 3 first round picks. I mean, in fact, let's just check. Let's just check on the QB here. Here he is, Jeremy McDowell. He is hidden, of course. And he really was the diamond amongst just utter trash that was in the rest of this draft. He was the jewel. But unfortunately he's playing for the Bengals, and I'd have 43 morale as well if I was playing for the Bengals. So that's who we missed out on. But going back to our draft, Bray, Zellner, Northern, none of them great picks. I think Northern could develop into something. I'm hoping he will. He is better than Fizzmagic. He will start for us. But there wasn't anything too exciting in there. Sherman, again, a decent pick. Braylon Berry, and this is where I think our draft started to pick up. Around the 3rd round, we picked up Berry, we picked up Richard and Borum as well, before going back and getting Arsenio Linda and ending it with Redmond, who we did get Sherman, who was hidden, and also our last pick, Redmond, was also hidden in the 7th round. So overall, I think it was just a terrible draft in general. I think by the overalls you can pretty much tell that. You know, when a 74 is becoming an early first, you've really got problems with the draft. And so overall, we can't be too disappointed, but we can't be too happy either.
So despite what Chris may say, the fact that Angel Laws and Eddie McCartney came to this team makes my draft superior, no matter what he says. Compared to the rest, Angel Laws is the 3rd best player, after Leo Cousins, who would be just great if he had fallen, but he didn't, so Not great, but still a good draft. The later picks, as soon as I realised that this is not a good draft, I somewhat didn't really mind taking these pot shots at random players. Billy Cool, he has a great name. Maybe he'll be okay in about 10 years, but I don't hold out much hope for his career. Jerry Styles might be a good backup in a few years. Same with DeMarcus Lowell. Bingham, McCartney and Laws will all contribute this year. So as Chris said before, we have changed 2 of these first round linemen. One being a superstar X Factor, which is the Lions' Brian Donaldson, who was the 2nd pick in the draft, which makes it pretty realistic, considering when would you ever take a guard number 2, unless he was just great. And then Leo Cousins gets the superstar. Now he was already a star, so we have changed a random O-lineman from the draft to a star, just to balance it out. And that should, hopefully, make these lines more balanced in the future.
And so, with the draft completed, with our draftees' names changed, with our free agents signed, it is time now to get through the preseason, and we'll probably just get through this pretty quickly and pretty swiftly, so that for the start of next episode we can get into week 1. Okay, so with the preseason done, me and Nick are now just going to take you through our depth charts as we get ready for the start of the season in the next episode. So here we are starting Dank Memes, our QB, and yes, the names will have changed now, so you will get to see what we have called our new players. Dank Memes will be our starting QB going forward, with the likes of Josh Jacobs, JD McKissick as our backup, with Blueberry as our 3rd running back. Fullback, we aren't carrying one, so I've put McKissick there for any things in the formations where a fullback might be needed. I'm just going to change this. We got Renfro and Pascal as our starters, with Zay Jones as our 3. Tight end, we got Darren Waller, one of our better players, and Arsenio Vengario as our backup tight end, our drafted tight end. Colton Miller at left tackle, Joe Thuney at left guard, our best player. Duncan Biscuits as our center. He is our hidden development center. Richie Incognito at right guard, followed by Trent Brown at right tackle. Max Crosby and Cleland Farrell are our ends, with Maurice Hurst and Jonathan Hankins in the middle. At linebacker, we got Onowuaso, and in the middle, Corey Littleton. And on the right, we have Markel Lee. Not one of our strongest areas, but that should be okay in a Tampa 2. Mike Hilton leads our cornerback room, that again is okay. It's got decent depth, but doesn't have too many stars on it. And the safety positions are filled by LaMarcus Jonah, and finally Carl Joseph, who is star development as well. Safety, one of our stronger areas, and our weaknesses very much can be seen. We don't have too many stars on this team as a whole, and hopefully Dank Memes can overcome it all, and with his 89 speed become one of the best QBs in the league. I have built a playbook around him that allows him to run at times, so we'll see how he does.
Okay, so here are your soon-to-be undefeated Arizona Cardinals for the 2020 season. With Kyler obviously starting here, Bortles ends up being our backup, which, I mean, it could be worse, so that's something. We move on. Running back is Kenyon Drake, but David Johnson will probably have the third down duties on this team, and Chase Edmonds I'll try and get involved just to see what he can do. This isn't really going to stay fixed, and we'll see how it changes throughout the season. Fullback won't matter in our playbook. Robbie Anderson will start with Christian Kirk, and Andy Isabella will come in when Kirk's in the slot. Max Williams will play a tight end. Billy Cool does make the team, and his name is unchanged because, well, obvious reasons. Left tackle, Justin Pugh ends up moving there out of basically just necessity, and this line does worry me. Ed, and Eddie, which is now his name, was our left guard that we drafted in the second round with hidden dev, so we'll see how he does. Gaillard ends up moving to centre. We'll see how he performs there. I'm not really concerned about how they play this year because I expect a complete overhaul of this offensive line. Dotson comes in, a last minute free agent signing just to have someone to play. Eric Armstead hopefully has a big year for us this year. He's going to be our rush left end with Bird Laws, who was Angel Laws, was the 9th pick of the draft. So hopefully he gets some good production there. Defensive tackle Corey Peters will play there. We'll look to replace him in the coming years, probably next year. Chandler Jones will hopefully have a big year because we're probably going to want to keep him around for a few years just to see how he does. And then middle linebacker, we'll see how these guys do, but I'm not expecting too much. And Quantavius Bingham will come in for Hassan Reddick quite a bit, hopefully, and get a lot of playtime there. With this cornerback room, I think we could have a decent secondary as well, because the free safety position looks great with Buda Baker, and Von Bell came in, which should shore up the safety spot.
And so we can now advance into week 1, where you will see us play our first games of this challenge. And the way we'll do it is we'll watch the odd game here and there, and then just advance through some of the others so that we get through the season relatively quickly while still keeping in touch with what the team is doing. So, on that note, we are excited to see you next time, where hopefully the Raiders will go on a massive win streak and get this over with very quickly indeed. Unlikely to happen, but we will see if it does, and we will see you next time for the Race to the Super Bowl Challenge.